To most people, it looked like any other Monday. The streets of Valencia pulsed with the same worn-out rhythm. Cars passing without glancing, strangers rushing past without a greeting, and workers merely surviving the day. But for Tomás Herrera, founder and president of the VidaFresca supermarket chain, that Monday would change everything. At 52 years old and with a fortune of over 400 million euros, Tomás hadn't always been a tycoon. He grew up selling fruit with his mother at a modest market stall, where he learned that the dignity of a worker was worth far more than any line on a financial report. But over the years, between tailored suits and boardrooms with sea views, he had lost touch with what once set him apart: people. One night, while dining alone in his luxurious penthouse, he came across an anonymous report alleging labor abuse within his stores. Something stirred inside him. Could it be true? Had his dream, now an empire, become a machine that crushed the very workers he once vowed to protect? He made a decision, one no one would see coming. He swapped his Rolex for a plastic watch, traded his suit for worn-out jeans, and pulled a cap over his graying hair to go unnoticed. He would visit some of his stores as just another customer. No cameras, no security detail, no schedule, just him and the truth. The first store he chose was one of the oldest, nestled in the working-class neighborhood of Nazareth, a place battered by crisis and ignored by the city's promises. Tomás entered pushing a shopping cart, his chest tight with anticipation. But what he saw left him frozen. Empty shelves, like time had simply stopped there. Expired products sitting beside items still on sale. Sticky floors. Flickering lights. It wasn't just neglect, it was abandonment. But the real heartbreak wasn't the aisles. It stood at checkout lane number 2. A young woman, pale-faced and trembling, tried to smile through the pain. Her name tag read Sofia Delgado. She couldn't have been more than 24 or 25. Her dark hair fell in damp strands across flushed cheeks, her eyes red from crying. Though she tried to mask the storm she was clearly losing the battle against. Tomás got in line, unable to take his eyes off her. He studied her movements, how she slowly scanned each item, how she whispered, "Thank you," even when it clearly hurt to speak. And then it was his turn. "Good morning," he said softly. "Are you all right?" Sofia swallowed hard. Her chin quivered as she replied, "I'm sorry, sir. I shouldn't be crying here. But my daughter, she's very sick." Tomás felt a sudden twist in his gut. That single confession hit him like a blow to the chest. "What's wrong with her?" he asked, truly concerned. Sofia glanced nervously toward the back of the store, as if afraid someone might be listening. Then, in a hushed voice, she said, "My daughter Emma is 5. She's been in the hospital for 2 days. High fever, vomiting, and the doctors still don't know what's causing it. They say she needs urgent treatment, but it costs 280 euros. I don't even have half of that." Tomás stared at her in disbelief. That couldn't be. His stores were required to pay cashiers a minimum of 1,100 euros per month. It was written into every employment contract. But what she said next sent a chill down his spine. "I haven't been paid this month." The manager said there were payroll errors. But this is the 3rd time it's happened. There are co-workers who haven't seen a paycheck in 2 months. "How much have you received this month?" he asked. "Nothing. And last month, I only got 500 euros. Tomás froze. A heavy silence surrounded him. Shame, rage, sorrow. How could his company allow this? But the worst was yet to come. In that moment, Tomás realized something far darker was festering inside the walls of his business. This wasn't just a payroll mistake. It was a pattern, a crime, and the most horrifying part, it was happening under his name. His chest burned with helpless anger. Someone was stealing the salaries of his workers. But it wasn't just anyone. It had to be someone he had trusted, and that betrayal haunted him. He left the store visibly shaken, pacing the streets of Nazareth in a blur, heart pounding with fury. How had he let this happen? How long had a manager been robbing the dignity of a mother like Sofia while no one dared speak up? He yanked his phone from his pocket and called his personal assistant, Mariana. "I need the full payroll reports for the Nazareth store." All bank transactions, signed receipts, transfers, everything. And I want it today, Mariana. Not tomorrow. Today. As he waited for the data, Tomás returned to the store. But not to shop. He became a shadow among shadows, hiding behind a barren shelf, watching. That's when he saw something that shattered his soul. Sophia, still in her apron, had stepped away during her lunch break. She was crouched in a corner, phone to her ear, hands shaking. "Doctor, please don't stop her treatment. I'm doing everything I can. I just need more time." Her voice cracked. Tomás felt his throat close. She wasn't just another employee. She was a desperate mother, torn between feeding others and saving her own child. An hour later, Mariana sent the files. Tomás sat in his car, reviewing every document with growing dread. Then, everything clicked. There was one name that kept appearing across all the doctor records. Ernesto Ramirez, the store's manager. Ernesto had been forging documents, withholding transfers, and altering payslips to skim off more than 40% of each worker's salary. In just 2 years, he had siphoned over 180,000 euros into phantom accounts, all while pretending to be an exemplary manager. The impact hit Tomás like a punch to the gut. He felt sick. His first instinct was to storm into the store, confront Ernesto, shout the truth in his face. But something inside held him back. No, firing him wouldn't be enough. It wasn't just about one man. It was about a system that allowed someone like him to thrive in plain sight. He needed to go deeper. He needed to expose everything. Tomás decided to return to the store just as Sophia's shift was ending. He watched her leave, dragging her feet, her eyes still glossy from crying. He followed from a distance. She didn't look back. Her hurried steps revealed a sense of urgency only a mother in distress could understand. 20 minutes later, she reached the pediatric hospital in Valencia. From outside, Tomás watched her pass through the glass doors, and something inside him shattered. It wasn't just the sight of Sophia. It was what came after. Through the window, he saw her enter a room where a small girl lay connected to tubes, cheeks flushed with fever, trying to sit up. Sophia knelt beside her and hugged her tightly. "Mama, it hurts so much," the little girl whispered. "I know, my love. The medicine is coming soon. I promise," Sophia replied. But Tomás saw something in her eyes, something Emma couldn't understand yet. Hopelessness. She had no idea how she was going to keep that promise. And for Tomás, that was worse than any financial loss. He walked out of the hospital and got into his car. Slamming the door shut, he took a deep breath and made a decision that would change Sophia's life, her daughter's and his own. Firing Ernesto wasn't enough. That would be too easy. He was going to uproot the rot that had poisoned the very soul of his company, without him even noticing. But to do that, he needed evidence and time. He didn't sleep that night. He just stood at the window, staring out at a sleeping city, while he burned from the inside. Every line in the reports reminded him of a face. Every stolen euro meant one less meal for a child, one less medicine for a mother, one more dream stolen from someone who only wanted to live with dignity. The next morning, his face pale and his eyes heavy, Tomás dressed once more like a regular shopper. Jeans, sneakers, an unbranded jacket. He headed back to the store, but this time with mission. Gather evidence, piece by piece, until the entire web of corruption collapsed. He moved between the aisles, pretending to browse while secretly recording audio and video on his phone. And soon, the conversations began confirming his worst fears. "They owe me 3 weeks' pay," a young man muttered while restocking bruised apples. "They owe me almost a month," whispered a cleaning woman, her face worn and tired. "But if you complain, Ernesto threatens to fire you, and then your shifts vanish from the system." Tomás recorded everything. Every word, every glance filled with fear, every injustice too long endured. He couldn't let it continue. Around midday, Sophia returned. Her gaze was vacant. Her swollen eyes revealed she hadn't slept. And still, she stepped behind the register and greeted the first customer with a broken smile. That moment, that quiet act of courage, sealed Tomás's resolve once and for all. And from that moment forward, The plan to change everything had begun. Tomás waited patiently for Sophia's shift to end. When he saw her step out the back door of the store, shoulders slumped, soul visibly worn down, he approached her with a mix of quiet strength and tenderness. "Excuse me, how's your daughter?" Sophia turned abruptly. She recognized him immediately, the customer from the day before. Her face tense and her eyes filled with tears. "It's you," she murmured. "Emma's worse. Her fever won't go down, and the doctors don't know what else to try. They said that without the new treatment, she won't make it past the weekend." She couldn't go on. She broke down in silence. Tomás didn't hesitate for a second. "Come with me." "Where are we going?" "To the pharmacy. Your daughter needs that medicine, and she'll get it. I'll pay for it." "What?" "No, I can't accept that. I have no way to repay you. You don't have to repay anything. I'm a father too. And there's no pain like watching your child suffer and knowing you can't help. I can help. Let me." Sophia looked at him as if she couldn't quite believe what she was hearing. Why would a stranger do something like this? But something in his eyes, in the calm, honest way he spoke, made her trust him. It wasn't pity. It was something real. They went together to the pharmacy. Tomás took out his card and paid the 280 euros without blinking. Sophia could barely speak. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "I swear I'll do whatever it takes. I'll pay you back, every cent. You owe me nothing. But I will ask you one thing. Are you willing to help me stop the man who's doing this to you and to everyone else?" Sophia went pale. "What are you talking about?" "I know Ernesto Ramirez is stealing your wages, and I want to put an end to it. But I need your help. I need us to expose him together." She took a step back. Fear instantly showed on her face. "If he finds out, he'll fire me. And I need this job, even if it's miserable. I have to feed Emma." Tomás stepped closer, lowering his voice, his eyes locked with hers. "Trust me, when this is over, you won't ever have to worry about money again." Sophia still had no idea that the man standing in front of her was the owner of the entire VidaFresca chain. She had no clue she was speaking with the one person who could change her life forever. After a few seconds of silence, she gave a small nod, but the terror didn't leave her. "What do I have to do?" "I need you to get Ernesto to confess, to admit what he's doing. I'll record everything." "And how am I supposed to do that?" "Tell him you know. Pretend you want in. Act like you want to cut." Sophia trembled. It was risky. Every part of her wanted to run. But another part, the brave part, the mother who couldn't stand seeing her daughter suffer one more day, chose to stay. "And if it doesn't work," she whispered, "what if he turns on me? I'll protect you. Nothing will happen to you, I promise." The next day, Sophia arrived at work like any other morning. But this time, she carried Tomás's phone carefully hidden in her purse, the audio recorder already running. Her heart pounded as she stepped into Ernesto Ramirez's office. A stocky man in his 50s, he spent more time on his phone than actually managing the store. "What do you want now, Delgado?" he grunted, not even looking up. "Make it quick. I've got important things to do." Sophia swallowed hard. Forcing a steady voice, though, she was crumbling inside. "I know what you're doing with our paychecks." Ernesto looked up, startled. "What are you talking about?" "I know you're taking part of the money that belongs to us. And if you're doing it, I want in." For a moment, the room went still. Then he slowly stood up and stared at her with contempt. "Are you out of your mind? How dare you accuse me?" "I have proof," Sophia lied, her voice trembling. "And if you don't start paying me what I deserve, I'll report you." Ernesto stepped closer, his face flushed with rage and fear. And that's when he made his mistake. "Listen to me, girl. This place is hell. I break my back while everyone else just slacks off. That money, I keep it because I deserve it. It's not stealing, it's justice." Sophia held her breath. She had what she needed. But Ernesto wasn't finished. "And if you want your share," he growled, "you'd better keep your mouth shut and do as you're told. Because if you talk, I swear you'll never work in the city again." Outside, Tomás heard every word. His phone captured everything, and his heart raced. He had the evidence. Finally. But then something unexpected happened. You know what, Sofia? Ernesto sneered. You're a problem. You're fired. Sofia froze. No, please, my daughter is sick. I just need this job. Not my problem. Pack your things and get out. Before Sofia could say another word, Tomás burst into the office, eyes blazing, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. Sorry to interrupt. Ernesto turned around, confused and startled. Who the hell are you? How dare you walk in here? Tomás stepped into the office, firm and composed. His eyes burned with fury and betrayal. Ernesto stood abruptly, uncertain whether to shout, run, or collapse. I said, who the hell are you? Ernesto barked. Tomás offered a faint, controlled smile, a smile filled with quiet power. My name is Tomás Herrera, and this is not your office. Ernesto's face turned pale. His jaw dropped. His entire body went limp. Sofia gasped and covered her mouth, trembling. The truth had been revealed, all at once. The man she had trusted with her fears was the owner of everything. No, it can't be, Ernesto stammered, now dripping with sweat. Mr. Herrera, I didn't know. You didn't know I was the founder of this company? Or you didn't know that stealing from your employees is a crime? Ernesto stumbled backward into his chair, crushed by the weight of his own lies. He had no words, only cowardly tears. I'm going through a rough time. My wife left me. I'm drowning in debt. It wasn't my intention. So you decided to steal from honest people? From a mother with a sick daughter who can barely afford a loaf of bread? Tomás's voice echoed with justice. You made selfish, cruel decisions, and now you'll face the consequences. Sofia stood frozen. She couldn't believe the kind, quiet man who had bought her daughter's medicine without asking anything in return was also the CEO of VidaFresca, and that he was there, standing up for her. Tomás pulled out his phone and held it in the air. It's all recorded. Every word, every confession, every threat. Ernesto buried his face in his hands. Please, don't report me. I have a family. You should have thought about that before destroying the lives of other families. At that moment, 2 officers from the Guardia Civil, already contacted by Tomás, stepped into the office. Ernesto was escorted out, trembling, defeated, knowing his freedom was over. Employees began gathering around, whispering to one another. Some recorded with their phones. Others simply watched in stunned silence. Tomás raised his voice so all could hear. From today on, everything changes. No more delays. No more abuse. Every single one of you will receive your full wages, as you always should have. And everything that was stolen from you in these past months will be paid back. Applause erupted like a thunderclap. Some cried. Others hugged. It was the beginning of a new era. Sofia stepped forward, eyes still glistening with tears. Mr. Herrera, I don't know how to thank you for what you've done, for me, for my daughter. Tomás gave her a warm smile. May I call you Sofia? Of course, yes. You've shown a courage that many people wouldn't have. Honesty, integrity, strength, and because of that, I want to offer you something more. What do you mean? I want you to become our front-end supervisor. The role comes with more responsibility, but also better conditions. A salary of 2,000 euros a month, and stability for you and for Emma. Sofia stared at him like he'd just spoken a foreign language. Her legs gave out, and she fainted from shock. One of the employees caught her in time, and the room filled with gentle laughter and applause. Moments later, now recovered, she sat in the office that once belonged to Ernesto. Tomás stood nearby, watching her with a quiet affection. Sofia, there's something else. More, she asked with a trembling smile. Yes, I know your daughter needs constant care, special treatments, private doctors. And even though you'll now be able to afford it, I don't ever want you to worry about that again. I don't understand. All of our supervisors and executives have access to a private, comprehensive health insurance plan. And starting today, you're one of them. Whatever care Emma needs, it will be fully covered. Always. Sofia broke down in tears. She couldn't hold them back. She rose and wrapped her arms around him, sobbing, unable to let go. You're an angel. You saved my daughter. You've changed our lives. Tomás held her close. No, Sophia, you were the angel. You opened my eyes. You showed me what my company was becoming. And because of you, everything will change. In the weeks following Ernesto Ramirez's downfall, Tomás threw himself into a full-scale internal investigation that would shake the very foundation of his empire. What had begun as a single case in a small neighborhood store revealed a brutal truth. At least 15 other managers had been running the same scheme. Stolen wages, falsified documents, silent threats. The abuse had been systemic, and he had never seen it. Without hesitation, Tomás took drastic action. He fired everyone involved and reported them to the authorities. His hands didn't tremble. But more important than punishing the guilty was changing the system itself. He rewrote the entire control model of VidaFresca from scratch. Anonymous audits were implemented. Internal reporting channels were doubled. And the most radical change of all, he stepped out of his office. He swore he would never again distance himself so far from his people. Never again will I be a blind boss in an expensive suit with an absent heart, he told his reflection. 3 months later, he returned to the store in Nazareth. The change was visible from the entrance. Immaculate shelves, fresh produce, sparkling floors. But the most beautiful change wasn't material. It was in the atmosphere. Employees were laughing. Customers were smiling. And at checkout number 3, Sophia was scanning items with a glow that lit up the entire aisle. Tomás approached with a quiet smile. "How's Emma?" Sophia looked up and her entire face brightened. "Mr. Herrera, she's doing fantastic. The doctors say she's completely recovered. She's back to running to the house like a little hurricane. And you? How are you?" Sophia paused, her voice trembling. "You saved me. You didn't just give me back a job. You gave me back life. Hope. The ability to dream again." Tomás smiled, but inside his pocket, he held a surprise. One that would change everything again. 6 months after the scandal, Sophia was summoned to VidaFresca's central office, located on the 30th floor of a glass tower in the heart of Madrid. The view was breathtaking, but her eyes stayed fixed on her trembling hands. Did something happen? She wondered, terrified. Tomás welcomed her with a warm coffee and a calm smile. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked, on the verge of panic. "Quite the opposite, Sophia. You've done everything right. Exceptionally right." He placed a sleek black folder on the table. "These past months, I've been watching your work closely. You've turned the Nazareth store into the best-performing branch in the chain. Happy clients, motivated staff, sales through the roof. But that's not all. I just did what anyone would have done," she replied, humbly. "You've done far more than that. You've shown leadership, integrity, empathy. You become an example to others. And that's why I want to make you a proposal." Sophia stared at him, confused. "I want to offer you the regional director position for all stores across central and southern Spain." She froze. It was as if the air had vanished from her lungs. "That can't be, Mr. Herrera. I didn't even finish high school. I don't have a degree. But you have something far more valuable. Real-life experience, natural leadership, and most of all, an honest heart. But I'm just a cashier. You were a cashier. Today, you're about to become one of the most influential women in retail in this country." Tomás opened the folder. The numbers spoke for themselves. Salary, 8,000 euros per month. Company car, paid housing, and an annual performance bonus that could exceed 100,000 euros. This isn't charity, Sophia. This is earned. She slowly sat down, overwhelmed. Her body couldn't process so much emotion. Her lips quivered. The tears welled up and finally spilled. "I don't know if I can. It's too much." "Sophia," Tomás said gently, leaning toward her. "I built this company with my own hands. But I also made mistakes. I lost sight of the most important thing, people. You reminded me why I started all of this. For people like you. I need your help to change this company from within. Will you do it?" Sophia took a deep breath. She thought of her daughter, the hospital, the sleepless nights, the tears, and now this new life unfolding before her. "What would I have to do?" Visit our stores. Observe. Listen. Make sure no one else goes through what you did. That every employee is treated with dignity. That no one ever steals from them again. Sophia nodded slowly, then whispered, and Emma, she'll have the best. Private education. The top universities. Everything will be covered by the company, because you gave everything for her. Now it's our turn to give something back. Tears streamed down her face. She couldn't hold them back. A year ago, I couldn't even afford medicine for my daughter's fever. I was alone, desperate. I didn't think I'd survive. And today, Tomás said softly, you can give Emma everything you never had, not because of luck, but because your strength, your honesty, and your courage rewrote your destiny. Sophia accepted the offer with her heart pounding so hard, she could barely hear her own voice. What she didn't know was that Tomás still had one final gift, one that couldn't be wrapped or signed, one that would change her destiny forever. 2 years later, Sofia Delgado wasn't just a woman in a high-ranking position. She had become one of the most respected and admired executives in the country. Her name appeared in articles, leadership conferences, and national forums. But deep down, she was still the same woman who had once cried behind Register 3 because she couldn't afford antibiotics. Thanks to her, VidaFresca had revolutionized its internal model. Fair wages, humane schedules, full medical coverage, in-store daycare centers for workers' children, and emotional wellness programs. The stores were no longer just retail spaces. They had become places where dignity came first. Emma, now 6, ran through the gardens of a private school, healthy, joyful, and unaware that her journey had started with fever and despair. Sophia lived with her in a bright, cozy home with a garden and a kitchen that smelled like love. She drove a modest BMW, a company gift, but still drank coffee from paper cups and greeted the doorman by name. And faithful to her roots, every month she returned to where it all began, the Nazareth store. But she didn't go as a boss. She went as a peer, as a woman who never forgot. One afternoon, as she walked down the aisles, a young cashier, new to the team, shyly approached her. "Excuse me, is it true you used to work here?" Sophia smiled warmly. "Yes, right there," she said, pointing. "Register number 3. And how did you make it so far?" "I didn't do anything extraordinary. Just one thing. I always told the truth, even when it hurt." The girl nodded silently, eyes wide with admiration. Just as Sophia was about to leave, she saw a scene that transported her back in time. An elderly man at the register. His card declined. His head bowed. That familiar silence. The weight of shame. She didn't hesitate. "Don't worry, sir. Today's on me. But, miss..." "We all need help sometimes," she said, echoing the same words Tomás had once said when he saved her life. What she didn't know was that Tomás was there too, quietly walking the aisles. He had seen it all, and from a distance he smiled, knowing he had made the best decision of his life by trusting her. He had found not just a brilliant leader, but a woman who never lost her humility or her humanity. That night, Sophia returned home and read a bedtime story to Emma. The little girl looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes and asked a question that stopped her heart. "Mom, is it true we used to be poor?" Sophia caressed her daughter's hair and smiled softly. "Yes, sweetheart. We went through very hard times." "And how did we become rich?" Sophia paused. She looked out the window at the starry sky and replied with a trembling voice filled with tenderness. "We didn't become rich, Emma. We became fortunate." "What's the difference?" "Rich people have money. Fortunate people have someone who helps them when they need it most." Emma smiled and closed her eyes. She fell asleep, unaware that her mother was crying silently, not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude. From the window, Sophia looked out at the garden, the warm lights, the home they had built, and she remembered that November evening behind a register, crying and broken, thinking her life was over. She didn't know then that it was just beginning. Everything changed, but it wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was honesty, the strength to speak the truth. A single act of kindness that sparked a chain of miracles. If this story touched your heart, Leave a heart below. I want to hear from you. Have you ever helped someone without expecting anything in return? Do you believe honesty can transform lives, even in the workplace? What's the kindest thing a boss has ever done for you? If you believe in justice, kindness, and the power of humility, give this video a like. Subscribe for more stories that restore your faith in humanity. Share this with someone who works hard every single day. And remember, sometimes the most powerful people aren't the ones with titles or wealth. They're the ones who see the heart of those who work with integrity. When a fair boss meets an honest employee, a miracle can happen. See you in the next video with another story to remind you that doing good always comes back. With love to all honest souls out there.